It's a beautiful day. Good to have you on Atlantic Television Network Blowout. ATM Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network. We'll bring you conversation on special interest topics. We do this through news, events, and stories. Of course, bringing you through correspondent reports as well and expert opinions, as not forgetting stakeholders analysis. Our first point of call today on Anchor's chat, we're going to Abia State, where the governor bans commercial motorcycles in Umuahia and Aba Metropolis. And then we'll come back to look at issue around the Ogoni cleanup. Mossop requests total overhaul of high preps management operations. At the 2023 elections, Tunde Bakare says APC deviated from founding principles. On National Assembly, set up to compel National Assembly to review 40 billion naira vehicle budget. On ministerial appointments, Igbo leaders accuse APC of marginalization may approach courts. On Nigeria-Niger border, Arewa businessmen lose billions owing to border closure. In Niger Republic, still coup leader endorsed dialogue with ECOWAS, asked sanctions to be lifted. Well, our resource persons on the show this morning, we have Honorable Ernest T. Roland Douglas. He's at this morning as a public affairs analyst. We have a lecturer with the Political Science Department, University of Port Harcourt. That's Professor Kiboye Aaron. They are here this morning to dissect issues on national issues on the news and as much more. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you Anchor's chats.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
All right, welcome back to ATM Blowout, and it's time for Anchor's Chat. The Abia State Governor Alex Oti has directed an immediate ban on operations of commercial motorcycles, otherwise known as Okada, within Umuahia and Aba metropolis. In a statement signed by Kazie Uko, his chief press secretary, issued on Sunday evening, Governor Oti said that effective Monday, August 14, 2023, any motorcycles seen on the streets of Umuahia, Aba, and Aba townships being used for such a purpose will be impounded by the security agencies. He directed security agencies in the two cities to arrest any individual caught violating the order for possible prosecution. Though no reason was given in the statement for the ban on Okada use, some sources said it was part of the measures being applied by the state government to tackle crime in parts of the two cities. However, some critics of the state government ban have said that the policy would further increase unemployment among youths. The critics also urged the Abia State government to ensure that the ban is not restricted to only civilian Okada riders, but also some security personnel who use Okada. All right, here is the trying. I mean, nobody's going to stop Governor Oti from doing what he needs to do. But again, he seemed to have fallen into that pit, that cesspit of just keep messing it up or do whatever you need to do to bring down the people. What exactly is this? You're stopping Okada at the metropolis. The big question is, this is a means of livelihood for these individuals. Oh, are there criminal elements according to this source? Maybe there are. I mean, they're everywhere. Again, this is exactly what the Lagos State government did last year, thereabouts, and people raised alarm to say, in this economy, in these trying times, in this economic crunch, in this challenge that what people are going through right now, particularly, you're banning Okada in Umuahia Township and Aba Township. So the question then is, where are you sending these people to? You're fighting criminality, and then you're creating avenues to increase criminality. How much sense does that make? If you take away a means of livelihood from a man who rides Okada to take care of his family and push them back to the urban areas, how many people use Okada in the urban areas and in the rural areas? Sorry, and you push them back there. Are you not also feeling those who has the vulnerability to go into crimes? People are already struggling to even manage the Okada riding, to put food on their table, and then you take that away. What is your plan? The statement is vague. You didn't state the reason for this. You didn't even state an alternative. I honestly expected better from Abia State Governor. That's the gospel truth. If you're going to remove Okada from a means of livelihood because you want to check security, first and foremost, communicate properly. These people have a union. Bring them together and then discuss with the union. Go through, pass your information to the union, their union leaders, who will bring them together and have a conversation with them. And as you're having that conversation, as a governor whose interest is to serve the people, one of the things you need to do is, okay, we agree as a governor that you need to do what is necessary to build the state, to bring it back to life. Awesome, no doubt about that. But these individuals, part of that, so some of them voted for you. Some of them were excited that you've come into power. But one of the things you don't want to do is to take their means of livelihood from them. That doesn't make much sense. If you're going to do that, there has to be an alternative. What have you put on ground? We are tired of government waking up and just acting because they have power to take certain decisions without considering the fact that the people you are leading are affected by this decision directly or indirectly. There are no jobs. You haven't created many anyway. I don't even know if you've created any. You're just a few months in office. So let's say we don't want to expect so much from you. But this is what these people were using to feed themselves and voted for you and hoping that you're coming to make their life better. Why make it difficult? I hope that this is one of those decisions that for me as personally, it doesn't sit well. And I don't even know how it should sit well in the right of any right-thinking person, because when government takes away something, you should provide an alternative. That is standard operations for governance. If you cannot provide alternative, you're creating chaos. You're creating room for chaos. You're trying to manage security issues in Abia State. That's fine. The same people you're taking their jobs away from them, are you not pushing them back into criminality to begin to serve different purposes for these criminal elements or gang leaders, as the case may be? I don't agree with this, dear Governor Alex Oti. This is not the way things is supposed to be. When you these things, you ought to have even planned it, giving them time, because before you know it, that they will start rioting. Conflict entrepreneurs will hijack the process and begin to fuel it through those that they could control, and before you know it, you have a whole lot on your hand to handle, and it doesn't make much sense. So if you are saying that you're banning Okada in Umuahia Township and Aba Townships, that is okay. But again, where exactly are you even calling Aba Metropolis if we're going to talk about it that way? Which area exactly are you looking at? Are you calling Aba Metropolis? Just say you ban Okada in Aba, because I don't know where you're going to refer to as Aba Metropolis. When they pick people on Ongwa Road or any of those places, where are they taking them to? That's where the passengers come from. And if the passengers are going to come from there, I honestly feel that there has to be a plan. Government policies should come with plan, implementable, not just plans. As a matter of fact, government policies ought to be well thought out, communicated properly, and then begin implementation so that the people can understand what you're doing. But this military or draconian approach of boom, you just do it and then expect applause. I'm sorry, you're not going to get applause, because people are going to react. This is the wrongest of time to be thinking of implementing such policy. If you want to talk about, okay, I mean, why do you even need to stop their jobs if you're talking about security? For instance, get every Okada to be properly registered and numbered. How many are they? How many are these Okada people, for crying out loud? In every local government in Abia State, make it mandatory. Any Okada person seen without proper address, proper identification, you are known not to be operating in Okada. Get them to have ID cards. What is it going to cost? When you stop an Okada person, you look at the ID card and then you say, okay, this is the person or this is not the person. If it's not the person, you impound the vehicle until the owner of the Okada surfaces. There are several ways to manage crime in the 21st century, but I don't know why Nigerian government, I don't know what exactly happens to them. You don't just wake up and then throw the people into chaos and expect an applause. There is no applause coming from this. I'm sorry to say this. There's nothing commendable about this act. In as much as it's because the statement didn't even give reasons. That isn't the most insulting aspect of it. You should give the people reason. You have served on several leadership positions, and this is why the people fought and rejoiced when you took office. So one of the things you're going to do, Dr. Oti, is not to take away their jobs and don't give them reasons. So what are you expecting them to do? So when they wake up in the morning and they start fighting for the 5 passengers they might get in their streets, excuse me, and where are they going to take these passengers? Other states have provided buses to enable people in managers subsidy remove, PMS subsidy remove. What have you provided? What are your own plans? What is it that you have done? Have you increased salaries like the Edo State and Imo State counterparts and other states? What have you done to see that you ameliorate the pains that the people are facing, and then you're going to add more? I honestly think this is a very horrible move, and I hope that the governor can, take this back and plan it properly so that you can carry the people along, because one of the things you don't want to do is to make the people feel like you don't care about them, you don't care whether they live or they die. Then the aim of governing them has been defeated, if that is what it is. So I hope that whatever this news is coming from, or whatever the reasons may be, it's taken back and planned properly. I don't like Okada. Okada shouldn't be the means of transportation, as a matter of fact, but it is poverty that has made it look like some of these things that are dangerous, as a matter of fact, are beginning to look like it's a big deal. It is because government doesn't seem to be providing jobs or finding a way to do the needful, so the people resort to whatever they can find. Please don't take away the little that these people have from them. Please don't take it away from them without finding an alternative. People are going through so much right now that as a governor, you have food on your table because the state provides. It doesn't mean that the Okada man or those without, who are even looking for the Okada to drive, that they have the means to feed today, for instance. Please, it is heartbreaking for anyone to think of doing such a thing at this point. I hope that you take this back and do the needful and show these people that genuinely you have their interests at heart. But the step that's going to show that is when you have a proper operational system that enables them to run their businesses and bring them on board when necessary, to ensure that they see a human face on you and not the face of a monster. And that's much we can do on Anchor's Chat this morning. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight into discussing issue around the cleanup of Ogoni land. We'll be back to you after the break.
Hey, welcome to the StarTimes 35th anniversary celebration. to say thank you to every StarTimes family for being an integral part of our journey. StarTimes has decided to give you a price slash on decoders. Yes, we are slashing the price of our antenna decoder from 8,900 naira to 7,500 naira and the dish decoder from 13,300 naira to 9,900 naira. But that's not all. Existing subscribers can recharge for 2 months on their current bouquet and get upgraded to the next higher bouquet. And if you recharge on the classic or super bouquet, you'll receive a fantastic reward of extra 15 days of free viewing. You can enjoy our top local and international content. So, what are you waiting for? Quickly, visit any StarTimes outlet around you to recharge or buy your decoder between June 12th to August 31st to enjoy this fabulous offer. Wow! Yay! Let the celebration begin! StarTimes. Entertain your family.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order,
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
so no agreement with the EU, but
And welcome back to ATM Blowout, and then it's time for us to look at all the critical issues in the news. But before then, I'd like to welcome Honorable Ernest T. Roland Douglas. Good to have you on ATM Blowout today.
Good morning viewers.
Okay, just before we get on with the organic cleanup conversation, this ban of Okada in Abia State, the news we got last night that the governor of Abia, I was discussing it on ANCOS chat, so the governor of Abia State had banned Okada. We are asking, what exactly motivated this? No reason was given. Is there no better way to have, if it's about security, for instance, is there no better way of managing this other than just throwing the people into chaos this morning?
I think our leaders are beginning to lose contact with their followers, and they're also losing empathy among the citizenry. Otherwise, for such a drastic decision, you know you don't have roads, and you know that about 50% of those riders are also graduates. So why would you come up with such a blanket ban without an alternative being put in place? Why have you not engaged? Why have you not engaged the citizenry, and then take a proper planning, and then bring in such a policy that everybody will be carried along? I think that the government have to rescind this decision, because it's not only going to encourage criminality by throwing a lot of people into the public space who believes that this is their source of livelihood at this particular moment in time. And then with this negative impact of the fuel subsidy removal, it's actually not the right set of policy or decision to be made right now in Abia State. That's my view.
You know the reason why I asked this question, you raised a very pertinent issue. There are no roads in Abia State, in Aba particularly. There are no roads. Now, if you are going to say you want to do something untoward in terms of development, the other time we had the commissioner for one of the commissioners talking about taking away structures, makeshift structures in Omahia and all of that. And one of the questions I asked, and so when you take away these makeshift structures because you want to beautify the city, which is okay, where are you taking these people? I'd like to welcome Professor Hikwe Aaron to ATN Blowout. Good to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much.
So I was discussing an issue I raised during the first segment of the show on ANCOS chat, which is the ban of Okada in Abia State and Umahia Metropolis. In fact, when he says Aba Metropolis, I'm thinking, where exactly is Metropolis in Aba? Because if you're talking about itself is a metropolis, of course it has villages and Ungwa and all of that attached to it. But this decision right now, like I said earlier, when he came into power, I think a few months or thereabouts, one of the female commissioners also came in to say that they are beautifying the city, urban development, so the makeshift structures has to go. And I asked, okay, these people, now where are you taking them to? So you're taking off Okada again. No reason was given, no proper communication, you just bam, no Okada in Abia and Omahia town. What part of government policy makes it okay for these people who are leading us, governors, president, as the case may be, to just come in, take a decision without the recourse, the impact of this to the people?
When he was speaking, he said that governors or those saddled with governance responsibilities are beginning to lose touch with the people, and I dare say that they've long lost touch with the true yearnings and the feelings of the people. It is for that reason that somebody can just wake up and say first subsidy is gone without thinking about what needs to be done to, by way of palliatives.
Yeah.
It is for that reason somebody can wake up and say Okada is banned. The Aba that I know of, and I've been told of recent years, because I've actually refused to go to Aba because of the broken down nature of the place.
Yeah.
I've resisted every urge to think of going to Aba. I am told that Aba has no road. And if all the roads are broken down, the only thing you can move with is bike.
Yeah.
And if you now take bikes off the road, you're actually asking the people to trek. So I don't know how, what informed the decisions, why they do what they do. For me, it's just a question of not connecting with the people, not knowing what the people truly want. That's my thing.
Itself was skewed to protect Shell and cover its damaging records in Ogoni to shield the company from responsibility. He said Mossop expected High Prep to protect the Ogoni people by addressing the issues of compensation for livelihood losses and the exclusion of about 75% of contaminated sites which were not captured in the UNEP report. Well, according to Nsuke, Ogoni people are disappointed in High Prep and accuse the projects of further worsening the health condition of the Ogoni people through its present move to launch community borehole water projects from toxic, poisoned and contaminated wells. He said High Prep alone sees and grades itself on the cleanup. We, the people, have not seen the water nor have we seen the cleanup. In 2014, High Prep and UNEP called for a total ban on both surface and underground waters in Ogoni after declaring them unsafe for drinking. Now, High Prep has not even cleaned the surface pollution, not to talk about the underground pollution, but they are seeking to drill boreholes from the same contaminated sources after receiving at least $800 million cleanup funds. He said, I challenge High Prep today to produce its plans for the integrated water project. If the agency is committed to provide clean water for the people, let them show us their plan for the water project. What High Prep is doing in Ogoni is ridiculous, he said, and extremely shameful. He, however, called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to overhaul the management and operations of High Prep by ensuring the completion of the financial audit ordered by the former President Muhammad Buhari. Let me come to you, Ambassador Roland Douglas. This conversation about High Prep and Ogoni cleanup, this is 2023. One would think that by now there would have been a facelift. There would have been amazing records shown considering the amount of money that has so far gone into that project. From changing one project coordinator to the other, but they are all sons of Ogoni land.
That's
now the man there just came in, I don't know, just a few months ago. They are already complaining. Mossop is saying they have not done 75% while they are praising themselves. Where did they do it? They are basically saying, show us that thing you did. Okay, let's start with the water. Show us your project, your project plan for water. Where do you think, or how do you think we should be looking at these accusations raised by Mossop, and of course what High Prep seem to be doing?
I think that High Prep is gradually becoming a conduit pipe like the NDDC. I say this, without apologies, because it is the sons of these communities that have been in the positions of authority, and as such, I expected a lot more coordination, which means engage all the critical stakeholders, get especially the youths that have been very restive, and then look at the priority scale of the UNEP report. Water is one of the key, and I don't know why providing water seems to be a rocket science for High Prep. You can't go and drill where there is already the hydrocarbon and ask people to drink water that comes out of that place. These provisions have been made, and a humongous amount of money have been so far spent. And the question we're asking is, what does it take to provide water, portable drinking water, to these communities that are highly impacted? And the politicking of, claims, counterclaims between the Mosop that is, the head of the entire Ogoni community, and with some of these other subgroups, they kept emphasizing that, look, this aspect of UNEP report is not being implemented. And all they needed to do is to come together, agree on the way forward, and overcome this lingering particular item on the unique scale of priorities to this project. And I think one way to solve this problem is basically to get the president to intervene and then have some kind of independent body that has the technical prowess and financial capacity to first and foremost identify where high prep it's having its technical challenge of providing water, and then also to verify the humongous amount of money they have received, especially for that aspect of that project, that milestone of that project. What has been put into? That's what I think that needs to be done right now.
All right, Prof, the conversation around overhauling of a high preps management and operations, how much impact do you think this would make in actualizing the goal of cleaning up Ogoni land, whether according to from what the UNEP report contains or what is actually on ground?
Well, I think I'd like also return to the claim made by Mosop, yes. Before we could think about overhauling. The point is this. I like to say that before the Ogoni people are made to look like Oliver Twist asking for more and more, I believe that this problem of claims by Mosop's claim is that 75% of the polluted land was not covered by the UNEP report.
Yeah.
That it was skewed, in favor of Shell. That is a claim. And beyond that, what HyPrep has done so far isn't good enough. That the land has not been cleaned up, and therefore any attempt to sink boreholes into the soil will amount to making the Ogoni people drink from hydrocarbon. Now, these problems can be taken care of by one key pillar of good governance, and that is transparency.
Okay.
If quality of water is something that can be scientifically determined, the extent of land messed up by oil pollution is something that can be scientifically determined. So if Mosop says that what is covered is 25%, open up the space for people to participate and let us know if it is true. Get Mosop people involved, get journalists involved. Let us take a look at the land area covered by the pollution. So does it constitute 25% or 75%? That will be settled. It's a verifiable thing. Number two, if the claim is that the land has not been cleaned up and therefore we cannot sink borehole, because I think contrary to what he was saying, it's not about rocket science, it's not about what HyPrep not willing to sink borehole. They said they want to sink borehole, and Mosop is saying that they should not. So if the claim is that the land has not been cleaned up and therefore we cannot sink, the water underground can be good for human consumption, that also is a verifiable claim. We can subject water to water analysis, and so we'll be able to know whether Mosop is blowing things out of proportion or they're stating the fact. And this is what transparency does. I mean, because if I've not been privileged to take a look at the document of UNEP and the various timelines and all that, but the truth of it is that the deliverables will be determined, and it is clear that we all know what good quality water is, and to that extent there's no rocket science there. We just expose the people, make the information available with perfect information by the people. People will get to know who is lying and who is telling the truth. And to that extent, I feel that this problem of HyPrep and the Ogoni people can be taken care of by, like I said, the key pillar of governance, which is transparency. As for overhauling the management of HyPrep, he pointed out earlier, and I agree with you, this body has been handled, the affairs of Hyper has been manned by Ogoni sons. One of them, a foremost environmental, my colleague, I think that is the recent one, Zabe. These are these are Ogoni sons. So are you saying that the Ogoni that fought so hard for this are now, sabotaging? I know Zabe, for instance, Zabe also has been at the forefront of Ogoni struggle.
Advocacy.
So are you saying that Zabe has suddenly turned around to sabotage his people? So these are claims, and for me, they are verifiable claims. As P2B will say, go and verify. Let's all go and verify who is lying or who's not lying.
Now, the quest to have the sons and daughters of Ogoni man the remediation process has been a strong call over the years since the inception of High Prep. And we had Joy Nune, Barrister Joy Nune, which she was once there, I think about 2016 thereabouts, before Marvin Dekio took over, and just like that. Looking at all of this side by side, what do you think should be the priority when it comes to Ogoni clean up Ogoni land, and ensuring that healthy drinking water, environment itself is safe for the Ogonis?
I mean, this is science. It's not, it's not about history and then claims and counter. This is pure science, and science, it's a verifiable fact that you and I can see and feel and touch. With all the red flags that have been raised, I think that some of these Ogoni professionals in the science, geological, should also come and volunteer and carry out, some of these analysis to either confirm or, refute some of the claims about this water, potable water issue that has been at the front burner. And essentially, it's the potable water that I think is raising a lot of this dust. We're also talking about them as being farmers. The soil cannot be farmed on. Even the water access, where some of them go fishing, they cannot even access it. And I kept asking myself, if they, who are from these areas, who are also professionals, can't put their house in order, then to me it's becoming some kind of a conduit pipe as well. Where everybody comes and probably they engage the media and hype whatever claim they want to claim that are not verifiable. And then we just keep going round and round in circle while the time is running out fast. And of course, maybe a new administration will come and probably come up with a policy that is going to probably scuttle, like it has done with amnesty and like it has done with the NDDC. So these are verifiable things that they should cut short a lot of these media and a lot of these, court issues. I hear quite a lot of them have gone to court asking injunctions in certain areas and all that. All these are not going to help the common people living within the communities. And so some of these people that are politically exposed are probably taking advantage to position themselves and make themselves relevant to probably, get into some of these offices and continue from where the others have stopped. So there should be some kind of town hall meetings being arranged at the sites of where these community people are. And then, it's pure science, and they can see. And then begin to now take remedial measures. And first and foremost, provide this water, because you can't drill where there is what they call hydrocarbon infested areas. You can't, because what you're going to end up having is probably gases and residuals of hydrocarbons that are within the soil. So for me, they should play down on this superiority contest amongst the prominent sons and daughters of the organization and face what the common people in the communities are going through. That's basically my own view on this.
All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight into talking about Pastor Tunde Bakere. He has a lot to say about the APC, but that will be after the break.
Hey, welcome to the Start. Hey, welcome to the StarTimes 35th anniversary celebration. To say thank you to every StarTimes family for being an integral part of our journey, StarTimes has decided to give you a price slash on decoders. Yes, we are slashing the price of our antenna decoder from 8,900 naira to 7,500 naira and the dish decoder from 13,300 naira to 9,900 naira. But that's not all. Existing subscribers can recharge for 2 months on their current bouquet and get upgraded to the next higher bouquet. And if you recharge on the classic or super bouquet, you will receive a fantastic reward of extra 15 days of free viewing. You can enjoy our top local and international content. So, what are you waiting for? Quickly, visit any StarTimes outlet around you to recharge or buy your decoder between June 12th to August 31st to enjoy this fabulous offer. Wow! Yay! Let the celebration begin! StarTimes. Entertain your family.
Welcome back to ATM Blowout. So, the serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare, said the outcome of the 2023 election shows that Nigerians are tired of the ruling All Progressive Congress. The cleric said this during a State of the Nation broadcast themed Vice, Virtue, and Time, 3 things that never stand still, delivered at his church in Ikeja, Lagos on Sunday. Bakare said, at this juncture, I must also sound a warning to the APC. I was there when the APC was formed, and the extent of my involvement is well documented. As a stakeholder and more importantly as a nation builder, I'm more obligated to state without equivocation that this is not the APC we envisaged. The results of the last elections were clear indications that Nigerians are fed up with what the APC had become. Bakare said the fact that the votes polled by the APC during the 2023 presidential election declined from what it had in 2015 and 2019 was an indication that there was a loss of support base for the party. If it were not for the divisions within the People's Democratic Party and the emergence of the Obedient Movement and the Labour Party that splits the traditional support base of the PDP, the APC would have convincingly lost the 2023 elections. Even now, the party's victory, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, is being challenged in court. According to Bakare, the APC has now become a platform for politicians with no ideology. We move from one party to the other to seek power at all costs. The APC has now become a platform for politicians with no ideology. So, he said the APC stood for progressivism, characterized by substantial positive investment in social sectors such as education and healthcare, and it achieved inclusiveness and social mobility. The cleric said this has changed over time given the current economic situation, a hardship being faced by many Nigerians, which he said were a result of anti-people policies of the government. Prof, this is your forte. forming of a political party, a lot of the APC particularly, a lot of persons were like, I don't see how this is going to pan out well. But the party has survived first tenure, going into its second tenure now. But one of the founding members, being Bakare, is basically saying that, hey, this is not what we envisaged, this is not what we planned. What exactly do you think he planned, or they planned, when they were forming party from different parties coming together that seem not to hold water now, or maybe even from that ab initio?
That's a fine one, and I think that it's important for us to interrogate some of the assumptions that he has made public here. First, it is not true that the APC is a progressive party, and that it was a party for progressives, because in it we had all manner of characters from every party, as many as we are couldn't find is a place in their old party. They came together and founded the APC. So it is not a party for progressives. And I keep telling people that you are progressives on the title of the name of your party doesn't make that political party progressive. I tell people that you add international to a journal title doesn't make the journal an international journal. So there are certain things that make for certain things, and ideologically speaking, Nigerian political parties are never founded on any ideology. They could make some claims that will have the semblance of a particular ideology. If you ask me, it looks to me more like, if there's any ideology at all, it's the ideology of the Bele. That's where they will go and get what they want. It is not about politics here, is not anchored on ideology. And that's the reason why you could find a Ganduje in PDP tomorrow, a Ganduje in APC tomorrow, a Shinkafi in Soso party tomorrow, the man of MPP, what was his name? Kwankwaso in APC yesterday, PDP tomorrow. It's different. So, but in the United States of America and the United Kingdom, that's not what political parties have made. Political parties, people belong to political party because the party ideology agrees with your own, their own worldview. So if you don't subscribe to gay, you cannot belong to if you believe in gay rights, you can't be a Republican and be a gay rights activist. But in Nigeria, we all gather anywhere it suits, and we all run to the place. That's why you see people that will say they can never be a member of a political party at one point, and the next time they are members of the political party. So, ideologically speaking, is wrong. APC was not founded on any ideology. They founded the party they came together, a coalition of forces came to wrest power from the PDP, and that's what they did. Now, beyond that is the fact that we talked about we're talking about the party as having lost its support base, and that if the PDP wasn't divided, the APC would have won. The truth is, the result of the election, or Nigerians voted in the last election, they were all out to vote against PDP and APC. So it wasn't about APC that were rejected. Nigerians wanted to reject the extant order that was not working for them. Nigeria has not been working for a lot of us, and Nigerians came out in their numbers to vote. As I'm talking about the voting figures, it's important for us to address the figures that we saw: 8.7 or so, making Bola Tinubu the winner of the election, and then Obi 6.1. Article 6.7. Article 6.7 will be 6.1. These votes you saw, the voting figures that we found in the last election actually get strikingly close to what looks like the real voter population of Nigeria. The 2015 voting figures were wrong. The 2019 voting figures were wrong. And I say this because that was the era of ballot stuffing. That was the era where nobody needed, any machine to do it. So at that point, yes, incident form produce high number of votes. But by the 2023 election, where we were deceived to believe that everything was going to be technologically determined, Nigerians registered in their large number, came out to vote and actually voted. But at the end of the day, a contrived technical glitch produced the result. So we now had 2 or 3 states having the same voting figures, which can never happen anywhere in the world.
Exact voting figures.
Exact voting figures. It happened in Nigeria. And then we had, from what we could see, the conversation, all manner of figures. Some, Amazon World Services or something, they have a different figure. INEC has a different figure. Sometimes what has been put on the portal is a different figure from what So we all know that the voting figures that we have are not a reflection of the voter turnout in Nigeria. That was it.
All right.
Yes.
We're still with you, but let me come to you, Honorable Roland Douglas. So here is what I find interesting with Bakare's position. Why he's talking about APC deviating, Prof have clearly elucidated on that to say now that progressivism doesn't even exist. But a cleric who saw what played out in Nigeria, the matter is still in court, who don't even agree with the outcome of the election, said the APC would have convincingly lost the 2023 election. Does that mean that to him that the APC won the election? From the figures that he is talking about here, because he said even the party's victory as announced by the Independent National is being challenged in court. Now, he now talked about the division in the PDP, how that helped again, is he basically saying that for what is what, APC won the election, but no, not with the margin as it won in 2015, because that seemed to be the center of his ideology, that APC has deviated and Nigerians seem not to agree with APC anymore. Help us make better sense of that, if you may.
Let's go back 2014.
Okay.
When we had the issues of corruption in the PDP, we had the issues of they kidnapped students and all that. All those were hyped, and then of course the slight increase in the fuel. All those were indices that were used as a propaganda by the APC, and Nigerians came out massively and voted for them. But what happened in 2019 was a gradual disappointment of what they thought was going to come on in 2015. And 2023 was a resounding, profound statement that they don't want the APC and they don't also want the PDP. I mean, it's all there. Now we are busy going about, looking for justifications and all that. APC, PDP, people are just fed up with them because it wasn't based on an ideology or based on even the principle of what they came as a manifesto to Nigerians.
Was it the principle of change?
Yeah, well,
I mean, what principle do you think he may be talking about? Because Prof tried to look at that, but he also didn't seem to find the principle that he's talking about.
It's the principle of stomach infrastructure. That's
so
what is going on.
Prof
Absolutely.
Well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what then is he saying APC deviated from? Because apart from the change mantra, Buhari came in fighting corruption, or corruption is fighting, and all of that. What else? What exactly do you think what is this conversation about? APC, as far as we're concerned, we cannot really say this is the ideology that backs that party.
Can I say something?
Okay, let me bring.
Yeah, I think if you ask me what Pastor Tunde Bakare and his co-travelers should be doing to Nigerians now is to offer us sincere apologies for the tragedy they made to befall on us by bringing Buhari.
Do you agree that
absolutely
was an apology?
Yes, absolutely.
And it should be thinking of organizing the Save Nigeria movement again, because we are at the verge of, we are in a very terrible situation.
We are in a very terrible situation because apparently almost all the indices that were used to hoodwink us with their propaganda has fallen flat on the faces of everyone. And then we are tired because we really need a paradigm shift from the same set of people being recycled and recycled, you can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the situation we find ourselves right now.
Okay. The political leaders and socio-cultural organizations from the Southeast geopolitical zone have tackled President Bola Tinubu over perceived lopsidedness in the ministerial nominations. The Igbo leaders accused the All Progressives Congress of deliberate policy to exclude the region from Nigeria's political equation and further the marginalization from where President Buhari stopped. Recall that the Senate last week screened and confirmed 48 ministerial screened and confirmed 48 nominees and confirmed 45 of these nominees. The list has been generating angry reactions, particularly from the Southeast leaders who allege marginalization of the zone by the president. According to the list, apart from each of the 36 states and the FCT getting one nominee as prescribed by the Constitution, Northwest and Southwest geopolitical zones got 3 extra ministers each. Northeast, North Central, and South have extra 2 respectively, while the Southeast got no extra nominees. This did not go down well with the Southeast leaders, who argued that every part of the country should be fairly treated and evenly accommodated in the political equilibrium. Senator representing Anambra North, Tony Nwoye, last week drew attention to the lopsidedness in the ministerial appointments. Nwoye posited that the Southeast was shortchanged in the nomination. I just want to stop here and come to you, Prof. Honorable Roland Douglas. I'm not trying to be biased. I mean, I'm Igbo, so it's not like I'm trying to be biased here. So when we talk about ministerial nominees or positioning, what should be the priority? I understand the need for federal character, but separately we have had people from our regions too, different regions of the country, who didn't deliver. You have these governors, for instance, they are all from Okezie, for instance, the former governor of Abia State. He's from Abia State. He's an Ongwa man. He couldn't fix Saba. Why do we always clamor for these things and not to demand for people who would actually deliver quality value? Ministers, like we know, are not they are not elected officials. They are coming in to serve Nigeria. So why should it be about you must give a Southeast person and not what are you going to do for us in the Southeast and hold on to that?
I have a completely different perception to this. First, I think this is the time we should be talking about cutting governance. These over-bloated ministerial nominees at this particular period are very unnecessary. And also, we should have the key performance indices of integrity, competency, and capacity first before we start talking about from what region or what zones people should come from. And of course, as a cosmopolitan country, we all should have a sense of belonging. If the Constitution says 36 plus Abuja, that makes it 37. Yes, it should reflect that 36 from all these axes, because in every zone you have people that have integrity, you have people that have competence, and you have people that have capacity. They don't all have to be politicians. We've got a lot of technocrats who are high flyers, both in global and national and international arena. So why, if we really want to succeed in governance, our mindset are not, channeled towards where are those people that have pedigree, that have been able to achieve practical, convincing results in their various endeavors, and bring them on board and get this country up and running, because this country is too blessed with all kinds of natural resources and human capacity to be in this kind of quagmire that we are. So for me, it's neither here nor there, as each zone asking for 10 nominees and all that, and of course most of the nominees, with apologies to some few other people, as the same people that have been there since 1999 and have not been able to show us any productivity, any achievement. So why all this issue of nominees from different zones and all that? It's a misplaced one. We want governance to reduce drastically by 50%. When the former president was there for 7 months, we had the permanent secretaries running. though there were no transparency and accountability shown. And then this time around, we're talking about 48, when we can't get our refineries running, when farmers can't go to the farmland, when flood is looking at us, and we're busy talking about nominees that are, as far as I'm concerned, they've all lost their usefulness. How many of them there are even young entrepreneurs that have been successful in the various areas that have been nominated here? So I think it's a wrong priority, and I don't want to go into that narrative.
Okay, now speaking about Igbo leaders' accusation or demand of the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what part of this demand do you think can bring succor to the southeast? Is it about, okay, deliver on what is expected, or is it about just having this conversation because you feel we are southeast people, they are marginalizing us, who keep singing this song without actually being precise on what we should be looking out for?
Well, you know, the way politics is played in Nigeria, it's all about sharing the national cake, which is quite unfortunate. And so to that extent, every group wants more of their people to be part of the cake sharing process. It also turns out that sometimes, even when that amounts to nothing for the region, the mere fact that their people are there gives them some satisfaction that their people are there. And that's how it has been all for quite some time, which is why a Fulani boy in Rivers State who has left the north because of insecurity still will wish a northerner to be president of Nigeria, even as he has no home to stay because of Boko Haram and the insurgency and bandits. Is that unfortunate?
Honorable Roland.
Yes, said, if you ask me, why do you need 48 ministers? And then I think the SAs are probably either more than that or about the same. But why do you need that kind of number to run a government? But it comes down to one thing, which is that at the moment, it is business as usual, and there is nothing to, nobody pretending about that. It is business as usual, and we shouldn't blame Bola Tinubu for that, because they actually said that he was going to continue from where Buhari stopped. So anything we see that Buhari did, we should also expect, and it shouldn't. We shouldn't be surprised. But on a more serious note, the Igbos too should expect that because they were identified as not having supported Bola Tinubu, and since politics is about sharing in Nigeria, sharing in the national cake, they should also not expect much to come their way. Admittedly, we will normally say that the fact that you're a president makes you the president of the entire country. But of course, we had several years of Buhari's nepotic rule, and we are, cousins, in-laws, and all of that, handled with cabinet level positions, and nothing happened. And even to Tinubu's credit, I must say that he has tried so far to ensure that this thing appears to be going around as if all the service chiefs are not Yoruba, or the custom they are not Yoruba, and although Yoruba appear to have also got key position, which of course boils down to our understanding of politics, which is to go grab whatever we can grab and take home. So to that extent, I think Igbo should cry less. Maybe they should pray that their son should win in the court so that they can have, although B is not likely to do that kind of thing, because we need people, the right people, to handle government. When you pick governors that have failed their states to serve as ministers, when you pick people with two credit WIAC certificate, what are you really telling us in this country? What can they do? Yes.
Okay, so what do we even want to tell ourselves as people? Because again, if we look at it from the angle of those whom Tinubu, I keep calling you just said something now. I keep calling him Buhari. Because he said he's going to continue from where he
yes.
All right, let's see if we can have this other conversation. So Serap seeks an order of mandamus to direct and compel Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas to review and reduce the 40 billion naira budget to buy 465 sports utility vehicles and bulletproof cars for members and principal officials until an assessment of the socio-economic impact of spending on the 137 million poor Nigerian is carried out in the public interest. Serap further seeks an order restraining Akpabio and Abbas from demanding or receiving the 40 billion naira to buy 465 SUV and bulletproof cars. Serap was also seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel Akpabio and Abbas to repeal the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2022 to reduce the budget for the National Assembly by 110 billion to reflect the current economic realities in the country. Well, Serap, one of those civil society organizations, always have this way of bringing our attention to what should be. Honorable Roland Douglas, do you see this effort by Serap maybe hitting any mark? Do you think the court will stand up this time to say no to this supposedly imposition of desires of continuous imposition of the will or desires of the National Assembly leaders on Nigerian people?
Well, the courts right now are the ones on trial because the Nigerians are looking up to them, to justify some of these germane issues that are being brought to them. We have a situation in this country where over 98% of the population are struggling to survive, and then less than 2% of 0.1% unproductive group of persons, because the constitution states that they should be there, now wants to brazenly, for me this is daylight robbery, spend that amount of humongous money on frivolities. Some of these people have been there and they've had all this. So what do they need all these things for? We're talking about the judiciary that should stand up aright this time around and take on some of these germane issues and, dispassionately dispense of them, so that the Nigerians, will they say, the judiciary is the last hope of the common man, will have a sense of belonging. Because right now, the judiciary in certain decisions that have been brought by Serap and other civil societies have not really taken this matter seriously, and so it kind of leaves some kind of red flag to even this matter now that is being brought to them. This is my perception on it.
Okay, a quick one, Prof. Looking at the rate at which Nigerians run away from this country. Yesterday, we discussed about Charlie Boy's position in respect to the crowd scene at the Keja UK visa office, and he said that which country is being led by people who has no business being in the positions of leadership. Basically, he said Nigeria is a refugee camp. If you look at that, what Nigerians have had to go through, still going through, and look at the nonchalance of the National Assembly, the legislature, for instance, to actually cut down on governance, which is the call that a lot of people have been calling for, show that human face. And then their reason for not doing that and thinking of looking at us in the face and making such purchase. Would you say that it would be a crime if these men, supposedly of repute, decide to buy coaster buses to take them up? They all live in Abuja. Yeah? They don't live outside of Abuja because that's where they work. That's where the National Assembly is. If we have coaster buses that lines up to pick them and take them back from work, what would happen? Why do we have to buy them vehicles, considering where we are right now?
Well, I think talking about buses would be too extreme. We'll be taking austerity too far, or cut cost.
Are we not in austerity times now?
Cost cutting too far. The truth is, 400. How many vehicles for 40 billion? What vehicles are we buying? That's the question. And then, I'm actually of the opinion that where we are, if the ruling class wants to be fair to the rest of us, we really need to do something drastic about how we let people know. They don't tell us, but people, organizations like Serap and other individuals, Sarah reporters, they manage to let us know what is going on. And I like to say here that it is in the enlightened self-interest of the ruling elite. Well, I'm actually reluctant to use elite, the ruling class. Yes, to be careful with what they do with public money, because where we are headed, a time will come in Nigeria that the attraction to fight to reclaim their life and perhaps lose it in the process may be stronger than not doing anything and be alive, because you eventually die anyway. But that's where we are headed. We live in a country where a few House of Rest members are going to have a palliative of how many billion? I saw it in this.
Yeah, 100. Total of what they want to spend,
360.
but for their subsidy palliative.
There's some amount for palliative.
Hardship allowance.
Yes, hardship palliative. And then you are now giving 500 billion naira to 12 million Nigerians. First of all, the number of people that are poor in Nigeria, more than 12 million. That's true. In fact,
the Bureau of Statistics said about 130 something.
Even some of those you think are not poor are actually well dressed poor people. Yeah. They just dress well, but they are poor. Yeah. So you want to give 8,000 per household. Is it to buy sugar or to buy salt? What is 8,000 per household for 12 million? So we just waste the money, because if you ask me, 500 billion naira we can put it into some industry that will employ people, where people will gainfully employed. People will earn decently wage. But you not take that money. Now, to make matters worse, this money does not get to the poor people. We saw it under, what's that woman's name? The woman in disaster, the woman that fed children while children were
on lockdown.
Yes, on during lockdown. Yes, so you just get this money and then share it to your own people, and the rest of us continue to wallow in poverty. But like I said, let them keep doing what they are doing. It happened in Tunisia. When people thought it was this kind of thing we are doing, business as usual. We still think it's business as usual. It's not Nigeria. Nothing will happen. But the time we come, something will just spark. And then an entire ruling elite, or ruling class rather, is in trouble. So let them keep doing what they are doing. Let them keep mocking the poor. Let the poor breathe. The other day, bam, let the poor breathe. Let them keep mocking. Let them keep sharing 3 whatever million or something for holiday. Let the poor continue to suffer in Nigeria. But what I can tell the people that are in charge of government positions in Nigeria is that where we are headed, this country will not be okay for them. That is the truth. Because I spent more than a third of my salary buying petrol today. And then my salary used to buy us food in the family and petrol for me. But now my salary can't buy me food and petrol. But I have to eat. Those are two needs that I have. I have to train my children in school. I have to take care of other things. I have to do certain things for myself in this life. I have to help people. And I spend all of my salary struggling to see how I can buy me food and petrol. Is that how I should live my life? So a time will come when people will be pushed to the wall. I know that they said, Margaret Thatcher was asked some years ago, I have not got the source, but it's a source I would like to get, that she was asked during the 80th birthday that, where would you like to govern if you have a chance to be a prime minister again? And I understand she said Nigeria. So why? That's the country where when you push people to the wall, instead of bouncing back, they carve a hole in there, which actually defines us. That's the way we behave. But
sadly,
sadly, that's the fact. But I can tell you that it has happened. That was how people in Tunisia were also carving a hole in the wall. People in Algeria were carving a hole in the wall. But it will come to a point that there will be no hole to carve, and the people will do something. And that's where we are headed. Anybody who thinks that this is sustainable is lying. Right now we are buying petrol for 591 naira. I can tell you here, petrol in
591.
yeah, 591
I
by
bought it-
NNPC.
I bought it
620. Yeah, 620,
yesterday.
630.
That
Yeah.
was coming.
Now that is for NNPC. That petrol was bought when the dollar was not 800 naira.
Yes.
Now the dollar is 1,000 naira. Because it is an imported item, I can assure you that give it, by the time we get into the first week of September, in fact the current one that is on the way coming, I am told by a friend who works in a farm tank or something like that, that the landing cost is 800 naira. So if the landing cost is 800 naira, you don't expect the businessman to sell it for 800 naira.
Of
You are the
course.
problem. So today we are buying petrol for 591. I try to to locate the 591 filling station to buy from them. 591, which is crazy, and then we now find ourselves buying petrol for 1,500, 1,200. There are people in this country that earn 17,000 naira in a month as salary. I know so. There are people that earn 30,000 naira as salary, and they go to work paying 1,300 naira a day. What will happen to those people when we get to that point? Those people at some point would decide to even if it's suicide, let us go into it.
Because
and then the police are
exactly
deploying.
would they
Yeah,
do?
that's exactly what are they living. The police are deploying to come and quell the riot. Are also suffering. The soldiers they are bringing to come and quell. They're also, so when we get to that point, you see that this whole thing we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. And those who rule us or misrule us should keep that in mind, whatever they are doing.
All right. Let the poor breathe.
Yes, let it all breathe.
Is the poor? Can the poor breathe? We
8,000 per
honestly
household.
have no idea.
No.
But speaking about hardship and its impact, especially what has to do with the Niger, businessmen on the platform of Arab Economic Forum have sent a save our soul message to the federal government to reopen some northern borders not linked to Niger Republic, as over 2,000 Nigeria-bound containers have been trapped, resulting in a weekly loss of over 13 billion naira. The chairman of AEF, Ibrahim Shehu Dakata, at a media briefing in Abuja on Sunday, said many businesses up north have packed up and the surviving ones are in coma, worsening poverty and unemployment levels in the region and Nigeria at large. Dan Dakata added that Niger Republic has a large landmass but a small population of about 25 million, many of whom survive largely on transborder trading. He said, "We urge the federal government to look at our plight and those of Nigerians in general and at least open those borders not linked directly to the Niger Republic. We have the Maje-Ilo border in Kebbi State, linking Benin Republic. It has nothing to do with Niger Republic. Once that is open, we can arrange to have our goods moved and cleared there if the government can approve custom duties to be paid there. It's an option we appeal to the government to consider." Dan Dakata said, "Democracy is good and we hope Niger Republic returns to democracy. We need peace so that trade resumes on that corridor." Formal trade between Nigeria and Niger is about 171 billion naira. Informal trade is not captured and it's about 515 billion naira. Most of the sheep, goats and cows consumed in Nigeria are from Niger. Nigeria closed the border to Niger, not the other way around. Most of the things they use come from Nigeria. People load goods from Kano to the Central African Republic, Mali, Niger, etc. He said the border closure is going to affect West and Central Africa. He said Niger is one of the poorest nations in the world. We should not have refugees. 1 million Nigerians live in Niger due to the insurgency up north. If Niger boys, Nigeria can't handle the volume of refugees given the situation we have in Nigeria already. He said, "We advise the ECOWAS to target military junta and their cronies and not the poor and vulnerable. They should isolate the junta and deal with them. Don't punish Nigerian and Nigerians traders. So the border between Kebbi and Benin Republic should be opened." They are appealing. He said, "We also appeal to the junta to insulate economic interests from their selfish interests," and all of that. I'm coming to you, Honorable Roland Douglas. Was reading this, I was just in my head imagining how much frustration, fear, anxiety, having your goods, the onion for instance, having the vegetables loaded in trucks and they are going to waste and you don't even know what is going to happen with them. Why do you think that this whole Niger thing, that the ECOWAS being led by Tinubu jumped into it without proper thinking through this whole thing? Why do we have to get to this point and begin to realize, is it now aware that money was coming in from these borders? how much the custom was making. Shouldn't someone have been there to advise him to say, these are the things you should consider? So this is where we are. Do you also think that this call can be heeded too?
Well, I hope this call will be heeded, because if governance are for the citizenry, then they should begin to listen to the citizens when they begin to raise such genuine issues. See, maybe for those who didn't witness the Biafran Civil War, do not realize that war is not about the next door neighbor. I go there, shoot, he comes around and shoot. There is a lot of economic, social, a lot of negative impact in all sectors of human activity, which it's going to be beyond even those who kick-started it. Now, they've raised that issue. You're talking about that aspect of it. What about those who probably have medical issues that need to leave the country?
We learned about 9,000 schools have also been shut
What about
down.
those who are supposed to be in school? Now it's about resumption. Now, you see that the negative impact is so humongous that I think the governments, if they are for the people, should begin to, not only the appeal that is being made by this section, but every Nigerian comments right now should touch the president and his team, not to be bamboozled by I call it the Western powers who are there benefiting from all this crisis that we're having within our West African sub-region.
All right, we're still on the issue around Niger. But let's bring you the next story. Niger Republic coup leader General Abdurrahman Tiani, we learned, agrees to dialogue with the Economic Community of West African States following meeting with Islamic scholars led by the national leader of Jama'atu Izalati wa Ikamutus, Sunni Sheikh Abdullahi Bala Lau in Niger Republic. The new Niger Republic's Prime Minister Ali Mohammed Lamin Zain said, "We have agreed and the leader of our country has given the green light for dialogue. They will now go back and inform the Nigerian president that what they have heard from us. We hope in the coming days they, as being ECOWAS, will come here to meet us to discuss how the sanctions imposed against us will be lifted." Nigeria's intervention team, which included notable Islamic scholars from the country, met with the coup leaders in Niger over the weekend, and all parties decided to strengthen the option of dialogue in resolving the country's political problem. Taking it off, Prof, from the challenge at the border that is costing not just Niger right now, but it's also an economic crunch. It's also affecting Nigeria because we are their major distributors. If you look at all of that side by side and consider the fact that these Islamic leaders were able to access the junta, and now they are saying we are willing to come to the table to discuss terms, why do you think ECOWAS didn't take the initiative to actually approach the junta before even talking about threatening on sanctions and bringing businesses and what have you to the point where 9,000 schools are shut down? We don't know the state of the hospital in Niger. We can't really say what is going on there when it comes to the welfare of the generality of the public. Why did they not take the time as leaders of this region, sub-region? Let's go see our sons and actually have a conversation with them. Why do you think threatening and sanctions was one of the first things they did?
Okay, so yeah, so threat of war, sanction was necessary because mainly there's a sense in which you could say that the ECOWAS leaders protecting their interests as a ruling class, in the sense that they are almost all of them are doing things the wrong way in their country. So if one coup is allowed to succeed, it means that we may be spreading the gospel that there is a need for military coups to be put in place in other countries, and therefore it is in their interest, no matter the cost that nations bear, to go to take on these guys, kick them out, and send a message that military rule is unacceptable. The question I keep asking is, every civil rule, every civilian rule, a democracy, will tend to have this tendency to conflate democracy with civil rule. We can have a civil rule that has no element of democracy. And we've seen that play out even where we are now. There's a deep crisis of legitimacy around Bola Tinubu. There's a deep questions of legitimacy have been raised concerning the election that has just been done. And if I could remind people here, the man threatened us. The power is not served at la carte. Go for it, grab it, and run with it. That is stealing. When you go for it, grab it, and run with it, you are not taking something that people are giving to you. And to put things differently, in a democracy properly called, power is actually served a la carte. You pick and choose the people you want. But we have this here in place where we are told, we are threatened to go for it, grab it and run. And the man has gone, grabbed and ran with it, and then suddenly thinks he has a moral title to implement, maybe return to civil rule, democratic rule in another country. Does it make sense? So we are going into something that, as far as I'm concerned, no one has carefully thought out the consequences. If they are thought through it, they wouldn't have. If you ask me, perhaps the only way, the only reason that Bola Tinubu feels convinced that he needs to go into Niger is this other thing that has been suggested. The constitution allows him to go on for 4 years without election or something, insofar as there is war. So for me, I have a feeling that maybe in expectation of a possible outcome of the court that may not be favorable, we could declare war and hang on to that war as a basis to continue to be. Other than that, what business has Nigeria got to do in Niger? What business? Has Nigeria been able to secure its country? We are here fighting Boko Haram since 2009. Boko Haram is a ragtag force. Without air force, without navy, Nigeria has not been able to quell that. Then Nigeria, this same Nigeria that cannot fight insurgency in the north, as I speak to you, people don't go to their farms. Bandits have made the place ungovernable. People are running, although when anytime election comes, you see high voter turnout, voting figures from the north. But nobody lives in many parts of the north. They are all in Alo. If you go to Alo, Choba, you see a lot of young boys from outside, people driving car, Okada and all of that. They ran away from the north. Nigeria has not been able to restore peace in the north. People are not able to go to farm. I am a farmer, and I tell you the cost of doing business now, because the corn and the what's it called, soya bean come from the north. Today, a bag of feed that we used to sell 2,300 in 2021, I'm not talking about Asian, it's now sell for 14,500. How do you account for that? People are made poor every day. People are getting poorer and poorer every day because of governance failure. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is a failed state. Failed state in the sense that it's incapable of doing what a state should do. It's not able to extract resources. It's not able to protect its pipelines. The Nigerian state now contracts the pipelines to some non-state actors. Does it make sense? It is this same country that wants to go to war. Didn't you see how well fed the Nigerian soldiers were looking? Do you want to go to war with the hungry people like Nigerian soldiers to go and fight those people? You go and mess up Nigeria again. If there is anything that we'll be holding on to, we still go on with the toga of giant factory, even as we are a crippled giant. Now, if you want to go and expose us for what we truly are, this will come and overrun us and mess up the northern part of the country.
Off the mic, Prof. Sorry, no verse. Honorable T. Here's something I observed. The junta didn't send a message to ECOWAS first. They sent a message to the president of Nigeria in the peaceful read. The message was to the president of Nigeria, and then they now included ECOWAS. Hold on, what is going on here? Islamic ulamas are Nigerians. Why is this looking like? Prof just raised it very sensitive, even though I told him to off the mic, but it got me kind of unsettled mentally. Is this a conscious effort to keep Nigeria at war, disrupt the system and the place, and then keep him in power for 4 years? Or there could be a conspiracy theory, but why Nigeria? Why is the junta directly saying go to tell Nigeria president? Why is Nigeria the one There are ulamas in other parts of Africa. There are Muslim community everywhere. Why is it our ulama, Islamic ulamas, that went to discuss this, and then finally they were able to have access to say, okay, we're ready to talk, and then they're saying ECOWAS come to us. By the way, do you think ECOWAS is going to go to them? I mean, negotiating with the junta.
I mean, it's very obvious that even those that were sent formally by the federal government were snubbed at the airport and they came back. But the former emir of Kano went there and had you know, red carpet treatment. That is also a signal. You see, they have also voiced it that they are yet to recognize the legitimacy of our government. So your house is not in order. You want to come and tell us how we're going to put our house in order. First and foremost, I think the focus should be what has prompted this coup first in Niger. Are the people happy with them?
Major accusations of corruption.
And that's the problem we have here. So for me, it's you can call it a conspiracy theory. They know that it's the way it is going. It's gone to Mali, it's gone to Guinea, and it's going to get here. And that's what they think they are trying to prevent. But they can't prevent it because we had NSAS, which was an eye-opener to Nigerian government that, look, things are not going right. This country is too blessed to be in this level of poverty that we have. And so because we have bad governance, every indices, is it on the security aspect, is it in the economic aspect, and is it even in this natural disaster that is with us now, the flood? We are not even prepared. So your house is on fire and you're busy pursuing a rat that has run out. That's what I liken it to. And I think the government will be making a terrible mistake thinking that Niger Republic, yes, is less than Lagos State, so you just go and run it off. They've now been able to have all the neighboring other countries in full force with them. And so with that kind of situation, what you expect is that we should sit back and think about the consequences. Do we even have the resources? If we have the resources, why our refinery is not running? Why have we not stopped these killings in Plateau and Benue and Borno for farmers to go? There are issues that we should tackle here before we start going outside to embarrass ourselves.
Okay, so if gentlemen, let's quickly wrap this up from this angle. So if we're looking at this, because this is beginning to look like a Nigeria versus Niger thing. It's no longer looking like an ECOWAS thing.
No, it's not.
Because we only see the ECOWAS present when they come here, they talk about these things, and they take off. But it looks like it's our battle, we versus Niger. So if you may, why does it seem like in all of this battle we have not seen anyone from any other part of the ECOWAS sub-region, maybe Ghana and what have you, going to Niger to discuss this? Why is it like, what is going on? Like he said, Honorable said, Sanusi have been there and was gladly welcomed and given a VIP treatment. We have the ulamas now, something that the ECOWAS threats could not even make them shift ground. They have suddenly shifted ground. Why is it looking like it's a we versus Niger? Is there something we're missing in all of this?
I think it's not difficult to understand.
Okay.
Yeah, the Niger is bordering on many northern states in Nigeria. I think
about 6.
There's a northern, one guy I used to say, is an elderly guy. He was very, vocal. Yesterday. He said that a declaration of war on Niger is a declaration of war on northern Nigeria.
Okay.
He may be substantially right in the sense that, strictly speaking, there are actually no borders between Nigeria and Niger Republic. I understand that they intermingle, they go in and out. As a matter of fact, some people are Nigerians, they go to work in Nigeria and they come back to sleep in Nigeria, or they come to work in Nigeria and go back to sleep.
And will they trade
Yes,
every day?
yes. So
do you think ECOWAS is going to meet?
I'm coming. So, and of course, if you also follow the immediate past president, he actually feels more Nigerian than Nigerian. Yeah. Yes, Buhari feels more Nigerian than Nigerian.
And he said he was going to run.
Yes, he was even going to. If you worry, he will run. Fortunately, the place is now on fire, so he will stay here with us. Okay. Now, so you you have this. So that's the reason why the northern ulamas, Islamic ulamas, northern politicians or something notables are getting involved. So there's nothing surprising about that. But the point for me is this: you do not give what you don't have.
Okay, but I asked a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so
you,
what's the question?
do you think ECOWAS will now go to Niger to negotiate with the junta?
Well, yes, of course we can always talk. People can talk. They will allow them to come and talk. But what I can tell you that is not like.
So you mean ECOWAS will actually now stand up and go to?
Oh, there's
Niger?
a chance that they might do that, because you see, the alternative is war, and that does not bode well for anybody, not least the Nigerians. Yes, if you declare war now, we are messed, because first of all, we are not been able, and I keep saying we have not been able to fight Boko Haram. Boko Haram has no air force. We've not been able to fight, to insurgents or something, bandits and everywhere. Life in the north. I'm not sure we all have a clear idea of what it means to live in the north. Yeah. It's a terrible mess made so by their people now. This is what it means when you vote for, you're voting for your brother. Their brother they voted and allowed him not to be in a total mess. Now, people can't go to farm. People can't live in. I hear they can just come into a house and tell a husband to release as many women as he has, and then they go with them. They go and do some farm work and other things. If they are lucky, they come back. You thank God that they yes. So is that how people should live a life? So there is and then of course Nigeria continue to deceive itself as the big brother. We have had that from Nekomok time till now. Nigeria funded maybe almost all that was up.
100%.
Yes, a chunk of what was spent in Nekomok was by Nigeria. Nigeria
What
had
do we
money
have
at the
to
time.
show for it?
Now, where we are now, this country is in a total mess, financially speaking, and you want to go because Tinubu has also spoken like the big brother. Kick them out. That won't work. It will not work.
Honorable, take a hazard guess. Do you see ECOWAS going to discuss with or negotiate with the junta?
I don't see them doing that.
Okay. We wish everybody the very best.
Do you see them going to war? Do you see them going to war?
I don't also see them going to war. It's just a abracadabra.
So just mess up Nigeria, remove whatever thing that looks
like. And then keep the disturbance, take it up north higher from Boko Haram, insurgents, bandits, and
just
what have you.
When it happened in Mali,
2 days ago, people were massacred in Plateau State. People were massacred
and you know that Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso,
they're all together.
of course, included Wagner, and Russia.
So we are going to fight a proxy war, fighting on behalf of the West. And then Russia will come in through the Wagner forces, and then we just mess up.
And then at the point where we're supposed to be discussing our economic growth and what we need to do every day, we'll now be talking about the war in Niger. It's okay.
I wish them well.
It's okay. We wish them the very best. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of our Monday on ATM Blowout today. Thank you for being here, Prof. Thank you for being here, Honorable Road and Dog.
It's my pleasure.
And that's been